Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast with your host, Ryan Weimer. Today, Cory, it's been a long time. We got Cory Miller in the house, COO of Offer Now, Idaho. Cory, how are you?
Doing well. Excited to be back.
Yeah, it's been a while. How long has it been?
At least 6 months.
Okay. Why? You've had some personal things, big things happen in your life.
Yeah, we celebrated our first child, so just managing through not getting a whole lot of sleep right now, but very excited to have the new member of the family.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And when does that dad strength come in?
You know, it hasn't hit yet. Same with the dad jokes. They haven't hit yet, but eventually, right? Is it one of those things that comes over time? You have to tell me.
It might not, for you, it might not come ever.
Okay.
Okay. So, guys, today on this episode, we're going to go through one of our quarterly reviews. It's been a long time since we went through one of these. Why? We've been busy. We have been freaking busy. We've been building the foundation for this thing, and we just had a record quarter. 1.64 million in closed revenue just in 3 months. Cory, what did we do all of last year?
1.9.
1.9 all of last year. So we almost made the same amount in one quarter as we did last year.
Yeah. And that's actually kind of a theme of what we've been able to accomplish both in Q3 and through the first 3 quarters of the year.
Yeah. And I say made, it's revenue generated, right? Yeah. So it's not net profit, but it is revenue generated. And we can talk about that. But what are some of the highlights, Cory, of the numbers of what made this a kick-ass quarter? Why don't we start with number of contracts signed? Yeah,
so we ended up signing 48 contracts. We ended up having our biggest contract month, sitting at 21 signed contracts, and that was back in July of this year.
Okay, so we broke a record. We broke a lot of records in this quarter. Closed revenue, deal size, closed deals.
Biggest deal?
Biggest deal, yeah. What was the biggest deal?
The Lake Crest one.
Lake Crest, that's right. Yeah. We made almost $400,000 on one single deal. Well, that helps.
That helps a lot. That helps a lot.
Okay. So why don't we first talk about contracts signed? Because you said we set a record with 21 in a month, right?
Yep.
We didn't set a record for the quarter, or did we?
We were one shy of our Q2 record for total number of contracts, which leads into why we had such a big Q3, because we had set a quarterly record at 49 signed contracts in Q2. A lot of those got monetized in Q3.
Right. So there's a delay effect, right?
Absolutely,
from the time that you start your marketing channels, whatever that is, cold calling, TV commercials, Google pay-per-click mail, texting, whatever that is, and the lead comes in, and then you meet with them, you get the signed contract, and then you can turn that signed contract into money. There's definitely a 30, 60, 90, sometimes even longer number of days lag effect.
Yeah, it really depends on the way we disposition these.
Yeah. So why don't we focus on number of contracts signed first? Just from purely like a macro point of view, right? We've been at this, you've been here, 3.5 years now?
About,
okay.
Yeah.
Offer Now, Idaho is just over 5 years old. What was it that led to this moment of just having an earth-shattering quarter? Because our previous highest quarter, I believe, was like 700, 800K?
Yeah, Q2 or Q3 of last year was about 760.
Right.
So almost $1 million higher than our last highest quarter.
Yeah, which is astronomical. It's double. We literally over doubled our biggest quarter ever. So what are kind of the events that led up to this, which also explains why we haven't done a lot of these podcasts recently?
Yeah, a lot of failure.
Yeah.
That's right.
And a lot of focus.
And yeah, that's actually a really good point. If we go back a year, there was still a lot of distraction. I mean, the core business and what it is now, which is finding off-market deals, getting those dispositioned in the best way possible, has been more so what we've done. I mean, 2 years ago, we were still talking about doing development plays on a frequent basis. We were using that as part of like our acquisition strategy even. And with that, I just felt like less focused. There's so many shiny objects, so many ways to make money, right, that we perceive, but not really focused on the ones that probably were going to produce the highest return. The second piece of that is people, and the people that sometimes also created a better process. You know, our amazing operations manager has really improved the way that we disposition properties and how effective we are with our equity protection program. These are our innovations. And then in addition to that, we have the most skilled acquisition managers we've ever had on the team. And that took a lot of time. That also took more money. We ended up having to go out and recruit folks that were at a higher caliber and demanded more. And we're starting to receive the benefits of that now.
Yeah, I mean, well said, right? I think you overestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year and you underestimate what you can accomplish in 5.
Yep.
This is no different. So really the culmination of learning new skills as leaders, increasing the marketing budget, having more money to spend on employees, having a built out training plan and onboarding plan, and then allocating the time, energy, and resources into hiring that are required to get higher caliber people. That's the one piece of this. Like, from the point that you decide we need to treat our hiring funnel as seriously as we do our revenue funnel for sales, like other homeowners, right? Sellers of properties. That's like, from the minute you decide that, there's at least 6 months, probably a year and a half. More realistically for us, it was like a year and a half from the point when you actually see the reward from making that decision and all the hard work that went into hiring. Because we started treating hiring like we did our normal lead channels, which means we did a shitload of resume reviews, referrals, intro calls, interviews, right? An astronomical amount, like way beyond what you would ever think. It's just like when you get started and you're cold calling, you're like, I talked to 10 people today and I didn't get a deal. And it's like, talk to 10,000 people and then see if you get a deal, right? It's the same thing with interviews.
Oh, absolutely.
I think just coming from the engineer world, like it was really hard for me to like actually grasp that concept, because in engineering, when you have a degree or whatever, there's like, okay, there's a barrier to entry. Right. And so with other applications and other like industries and other roles, you're not going to have that. That's removed. And so you're just going to have to like work on that many more people and that many more interviews to find the best ones. And you're going to have to be deserving of those people too. That's the biggest part. Yeah.
Those two don't always go hand in hand. There's a lag between them as well. Just to talk about the numbers that you're referring to and the time and the investment, 2024, we reviewed almost 2,300 resumes. We had 540 outreaches of those. We ended up having 311 intro calls scheduled and progressed 311. And I think we ended up hiring less than 15.
They're like, what the hell is an intro call? An intro call is at least a 15-minute call about the position.
Just to say, like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
To try to, a little bit of like an explanation, because nobody knows who the heck you are until you've had a chance to tell them. Yeah. And then this year, I think if I was just looking at it, we're over 4,000 resumes reviewed.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think at one point Tori put this together and our hire rate was less than the acceptance rate at Harvard. I was like, oh, that's a stat. Yeah.
So Offernow, Idaho is the Harvard of real estate.
You know how you get yourself blackballed say that?
I might get canceled for saying that. Okay. Let's talk about deal size, because I think that was clearly, if we look, okay, great. We generated more revenue in a quarter by a margin of double than we ever have. Why? It's because our average deal size for this quarter was $43,298. Our previous high was the quarter before at $31,668. So this isn't a small beat. This was an astronomical beat. And by the way, I think we removed, I know we removed that big Lake Crest almost 400K deal because it was skewing the data. So that doesn't even include that one.
That's correct. This is actually the biggest thing that challenged my personal mindset, was just the frequency of big deals. Because coming into 2025, I think we'd had one, and we'd had like the multi-unit deal that we talked about on this podcast, but I think we had one other wholesale that was 6 figures in the prior 2 years. And it's been almost like one a month. And then we had multiple stack in that quarter. And that one lever made a huge difference in revenue, profitability, and all of our people's commissions, and also in their buy-in. And that's actually something that was hard for me to like grasp. But once you had a rep believe that they could get a 100K deal, and then another rep had one, and then another rep had one, all of a sudden they view a lead in a completely different light, because they see this potential of getting a 100K deal, not a 20K deal. And that changed their level of urgency. That changed the level of action, and definitely the buy-in piece.
Yeah. And I think in hindsight, it's so frustrating when you're going through the suck and you're working your way up to this, where like you might be the only person capable of a deal that big, or you might not even be capable of a deal that big, right? And you're like, how in the world do I get there? And there's this just slow process to get there. And then one person does it, and then you might lose that person or whatever, right? And then you might feel like, oh crap, now I got to start over, and now I got to find another person to join our company that has that belief and buy-in. And then you got to bring in other people at the right time so that they can see other people having success in the role. And then you get momentum, and then you get big cultural buy-in. And then you get these huge swings in revenue, which is what happened.
Yeah. And just to elaborate on that point a little more, again, I didn't really think it was even possible. Like I'd heard Todd Toback talk about on his podcast, the big juicy deals, the ones that are 60, 80, 100K, whatever that is.
What does he say? Big, juicy deals.
Yes.
Like, why do you say it like that?
It stops people in their tracks. Yeah. But the interesting thing to me was that it's not that the skill set to do that was that much different. It was just the belief in sticking to the number that they anchored at and having somebody else tell them that that was okay.
Well, right, because belief leads to grit.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it's not. But what I'm saying is, it's not like their negotiation skills were that much better. It's that because we had a system in place where when they said, "I think this is a good deal," and I think this is something we can be at, they had somebody to push them, be like, "You can get it a little better," without telling them, "By the way, that's a screaming deal. Lock it up right now. Just whatever you do, put pen to paper."
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because we get really excited about it. But that just like that little bit of separation and also industry knowledge, because we've just been in the market long enough, leads to that.
It's just like when you do anything new, right? And you can see somebody making money and being successful at something in front of you. Your default then is like, oh, I can do this too. Mm-hmm. Instead of, well, let me see. Let me try it out. Mm-hmm. The delta, like that little thing is like multiples of business success and multiples of revenue and multiples of money different. So that's a very tangible thing. What else do you think contributed to our just ridiculously abnormal deal size? A
lot of failures in knowing that we can take properties down. So like some of those big ones were wholesales, and those are developed relationships that we've had over time. A couple of I think the biggest ones ended up being the same buyer.
Yeah.
And those weren't always easy situations with our client, right? So developed relationships with an end buyer who we know can handle the crap of dealing with somebody who's going through a lot, and then having the team who can also handle that on the back end and not cave into when they're asking for a $50,000 or $100,000 price increase.
Yeah. Well, I think the other half too were flips.
Yeah.
And we've been very, very ironically, like it's so ironic about this, because we used to flip based on like, oh, we can make that much more money. Now we flip based on, can we get in and out quickly in this market? Because with high interest rates, like from 1 week to the next, 1 month to the next, you could be left holding the bag, and you could have a finished property that you're done flipping sit on the market for months and months and months without any action, right? Mm-hmm. So what's ironic is like we took on a lot of the properties that didn't need a ton of work. There was not a huge value add opportunity for all of those. Mm-hmm. I think maybe 1 or 2 out of that whole quarter were like full gut jobs. That's it. The rest were like carpet, paint, boom, relist it within 30 to 60 days. And we still got those kind of deal sizes because speed is so key in this market with high interest rates, but also seasonally this time of year. Q3 is slow. Typically, right, on the on-market side for buyers. So the fact that we were able to do that in a quarter that's traditionally pretty slow on the retail side for those flips is all the more impressive. And I think this comes back to just focus and strategy. And, well, a lot of lessons learned in prior years of overestimating what you can take down and the number of properties you can flip successfully at the given time. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, the time cost. Mm-hmm. When 1 or 2 of those start going sideways, they cost more money, they cost more time, more focus, and now you're taking time away from doing what you do best, which is finding deals and signing contracts. So that's what I'm most proud of with that number, and it's just so funny that you'd think they'd work against each other, but buying properties that need less work actually gave us more profit somehow.
Well, because each of those was intentional, right? We intentionally chose not to wholesale those because we said there's a big enough delta and the risk is, we believe, small enough where we could do it. When in the past, like 2 years ago, we may have said, is it a $20,000 wholesale or I can make $40,000 on a flip? And you're like, flip all day, the extra 20 grand. And then you have a few of those flips that the 40 grand turns into 5 grand. You're like, oh, that actually wasn't as good of an idea as we expected. We got caught. And those are the lessons you're referring to here. And totally. So when we were looking at the spread, we were having to say, like, is this a 50K spread difference between a wholesale and a flip? Not a 20K to make that justified.
Yeah, I think too, over time, right? And I'm looking at this chart that I have up here. In Q1 2024, Our average deal size was $20K, $20,215. Q2, it went up to 31, but at the time, that was a huge anomaly. Q3 2024, 24,000, Q4 27,000, and then Q1, Q2 of this year we were at 30 and 31 respectively. So all that to be said, we've gone up and to the right slowly. A lot of this really is a psychological thing about what are you willing to accept. That is, it's a really hard transition to say no to 5K, 10K wholesale deals because you don't need the money. And actually you realize that they're a bigger time suck on the organization than it is to go find other better opportunities because there are endless amounts of opportunities out there. Okay, next one.
Yeah, so we went from that to appointments attended. So we did set a new company record at 260 total appointments attended. And I think we scheduled brand new appointments. This doesn't include anything that was already someone we'd met with. 377 new scheduled appointments. So what does that mean? I mean, over the course of 13 weeks, we're going on a lot of appointments every day that result in that. I mean, let me just actually do that really quick. That's about an 18% close rate, which
not great.
Not great, but at the same time, if we look back to Q3 of last year, we were sub 15. That 2 to 3% matters. It absolutely matters. And that's a skill set thing, and that's a people thing, and that's a training thing.
I would say actually 18%. So it's not great compared to a majority of the industry that are only doing inbound leads, which you can typically close at anywhere from 20 to 30% of your appointments, right? If you're doing outbound only, you can be in as low as like 5 to 10% of your appointments typically. So the fact that we're still a pretty significant blend of each, do you know what percentage of our attended appointments were inbound versus outbound? Feels like it would be about 50-50 and maybe slightly more inbound.
Yeah, I don't have that data readily available, but I could look it up. We're probably a little more inbound. I would probably say it's like closer to 60-40 inbound to outbound right now.
Okay. I mean, that's still with that high of a percentage of outbound leads. That's impressive. It's good. We've definitely made a lot of progress there.
Yeah. And the next piece that we're continuously working on, we're not there yet, is that we were at 69% of our new scheduled appointments were actually attended.
Oof.
Yeah. So our target's 80. And
meaning one out of every...
means 4 out of every 5 appointments we schedule, we go on, right?
They don't get canceled.
They don't get canceled.
Yeah.
Now, this leaves some room for the people who are just super squirrely and won't attend an appointment and things actually come up. And then it also leaves some room for manager cancellations where we look at it and say, okay, based on our perspective of what we heard, this probably isn't the person we're going to work with, and we can allocate our resources elsewhere.
Yeah. There are some companies in some of our masterminds that are like high 80s, 90% appointment attended rate, meaning they don't get canceled on last minute. Because the worst thing you can have happen for those people listening is you set an appointment with somebody and then all of a sudden you show up and they're not there and you just spent like 2 hours of drive time there and back and you wasted half your day to a no-show appointment. So that stuff is really, really harmful, not only to like somebody's time, but also like their emotional state. If an acquisition manager drives an hour to an appointment, there's a no-show, an hour back, that's a lot of time to think about how shitty it was that they just wasted a half a day.
And they get excited about the appointment they're going to go on because they feel like it's an opportunity. And when that's taken away from them, they're less productive the rest of the day. It has a big impact on what they're going to accomplish, what we as a team can accomplish. So big area of opportunity of growth for us.
What were we at before? Do you know?
You mean like the prior quarter?
Yeah. While you look that up, a couple of tips of how we've gotten better there, because it's always going to be a challenge when you bring on new staff or new people. They're going to get canceled on way more often because they're learning the script. They're not doing tie downs. They're not getting confirmations. They're not asking for hard commitments. They're not going through our cancellation policy and what that means. So, automated text messages, emails. Now we have our seller credibility packet that goes out to everybody with people's faces and names, a bio about their self. All of this, it's so much harder to cancel on a human when you see someone's picture there, right? So there is definitely a level of credibility and little things that you can add in your systems that go a huge way. And it never hurts to confirm more, only less.
Yeah.
Assuming, I talked to him yesterday and the appointment's today. Making that assumption, you are going to get a lot of no-shows, right? It's always best to say, hey, Jim, see you at 10. Right?
We look forward to seeing you at 10.
Yep.
Please write down those questions you had.
Yep.
So I look back at Q1. We were actually at 69% again in Q1. Q2, as we brought on some new staff, we dropped down to 65 and then back up to 69. Now, obviously, this is a blended average of everybody on the team. And every time we bring on new folks, it's not uncommon to have like a 40% attended rate, and then maybe a 50, then a 70, and maybe a 60. We had one rep who really put intentional focus at it in the last quarter, and he had, I think it was the month of July, it was a 92% appointment attended rate. And we actually had him record videos and train on what he was doing, because that month he was so intentional about it that it reset everyone else's expectations.
Reset my expectations for sure. I would always go to those at the masterminds and be like, how the hell do you guys get that many, that few appointments canceled? It's unreal.
Absolutely.
But there's levels to everything. So
yeah. And one thing I actually want to go back and touch on the average deal size. I think we've actually gotten a lot better at price renegotiations too.
Oh, that's such a good point. So what is a price renegotiation?
Yeah. So this is generally when you have somebody under contract. Let's say we go under contract for $200,000. Sometimes it's a cash deal. A lot of times these renegotiations end up happening on our novations, our equity protection deals. We'll take it out to the market, and then because we're not getting a full inspection on it, when that happens, sometimes there's things that come up that we are going to find mold. We're going to find cracked rafters. They're going to have to replace a roof. And we try as best to be as upfront and intentional, but we're not jiving into all this on the initial appointment. And so after we've got through the process and we present that information back to a homeowner, sometimes, again, they are more invested in the process of making the move, and they're more willing to negotiate and say, I know I really wanted that 200. Okay, I'll take 185. And we're like, look, we're going to have to come in as a company, and we're going to replace a roof, and we're going to do the windows, and we're going to touch up this paint. And we know we can get a little better deal because of just the relationships we have. And so it might cost $15,000. We can get it for $12,000, and maybe get a little bit there, but those extra $2,000 to $3,000 every deal really add up.
Yeah. I think it's so important that people understand. At Offer Now Idaho, we're looking to hire A players to run our organization and help us grow our business. Cory, why would somebody want to work with Offer Now Idaho?
Do you want to be challenged? Do you want to grow? Do you want to have people in your culture push you to be the best version of yourself? I do. And that's why I'm here. And in addition to that, do you want to have the chance at growing long-term generational wealth? That's all a possibility with a company that's small, cares about you, and wants you to be able to invest in real estate.
What's something that separates Offer Now Idaho from any other real estate company?
It's really rare to find a company that can help you get into a home. Sure, they might throw a few thousand into a 401k that you can access when you're 65. How many people are going to help you either provide a rental property or a shelter over your own head? Through our off-market home buying program, we assist our employees in buying properties once they've achieved certain levels within the company. And that's really unique to people because you get that asset. You get to do whatever you want with it. And you're buying an off-market discounted property to improve the quality of your life and your family's life.
Yeah, not only that, we offer benefits, and we have a very challenging and high growth energy startup feel to our work environment. So we are looking for people that want to make over 6 figures a year. Right now, we have a $3,000 referral program. If you know somebody that's looking for a new role, we will pay you $3,000 once that person is hired by us and they hit their 90-day mark. So if you know of anybody that's looking for a new job or looking to change their life, shoot me a DM at Real Ryan Weimer on Instagram.
Let's get it.
If your intentions are when you get a property under contract that you're going to come back later and renegotiate, and that's your strategy, you are completely unethical. Like, fuck that. So if your intentions are good and you are signing contracts that you can perform on, great. Of course, things will come up that you won't be able to see. You'll get feedback of things you didn't notice. We will make our own mistakes. So a big one recently, our guys didn't know to tell us if people are smoking in the house. It's like, well, that has a big impact on your scope of work, right? That means you got to redo everything on the inside, right? And so we've had 1 or 2 of those where there was an odor that we didn't know about, and so then we have to own that and fall on the sword. Like it was a training issue. We messed up here. But I wanted to get one specific example with that. Do you remember what happened on the Kimball property that we just closed last week?
Yeah. So full circle, again, this is when like having a better operations team, having better relationships also matter. And so this is a property that when we went out there, she's like, well, I want to get a number. I want to get a number.
She was stuck on a price.
Stuck on a price.
Yeah.
That we couldn't justify with a cash offer. And I don't remember the exact numbers on this. I'd have to look it up. But effectively, we were able to come up, and we did so on a seller finance deal where she had equity in the home. We were able to give her monthly payments. And at the time, she's like, well, yeah, I think I'm okay moving into a rental.
I think it was like 180 or 190K purchase price roughly.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yep. And so this is a below median price point, smaller home. And she's like, I'm okay moving into a rental. It's too much. I'm just not physically able to do it anymore. As she started down the process of looking at what she can get for a rental, she's like, I don't want to do that. I want to buy. Well, when you're getting 10 grand up front, you're not going to buy a whole lot. And so she came back and asked, like, what could I do? And the transaction team was able to then go back and say, well, what are you trying to get into? Put her in touch with an agent that we've used for a lot of our novations, helped get her a negotiated price to buy a manufactured home, and then use that as the leverage to be like, if you can get here, can you sell it for this? And got, I think, a $70,000 price reduction.
Yeah, to 110.
To 110.
Yeah.
And she was okay because it solved her problem.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets even cooler. And not only did we help her get into that, but then the buyer was actually one of the other agents that we sell our equity protection deals through.
Yeah.
So there was an agent that there was two different agents that we worked with on this to get paid either on the buy side or they're going to get paid because they're going to fix and flip it.
Right.
And she got into a home that she actually wanted to be in. And what was the spread on that?
50K was the wholesale deal.
And because we were able to get her into what she wanted and get the price low enough, the other agent that, again, we work with was willing to do a 50K assignment on this.
So to summarize that, we get a property on seller finance, payments over time at 180 or 190. She calls us and she's like, wait a minute, I want a cash deal instead, right? Frantic.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, what does that look like? What's going on? Oh, she found another property that she wants to buy. Which is so funny, man, because when we showed up, she's like, I'm stuck on a number. So the price was most important to her of getting the most amount of money over time. And then something changed and she's like, no, I want a lump sum. We renegotiated it down to 110, which is a 70 or 80K reduction from where we were at.
So price no longer mattered.
So price no longer mattered. It was all about the place that she wanted, that she picked out, and we made all that possible. And she was able to do that. And we made a $50,000 deal because of it. So it's like, this is the kind of stuff I think people make assumptions in their mind. Like, this stuff doesn't happen. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And until you have a really good transaction coordinator and ops team on the back end that can like really develop that relationship with them from the time they sign the contract to the time it closes, it generates so much more revenue than you would ever think. It saves so many more deals because people feel like they feel taken care of. So in the event something comes up unexpected or you have to do a price renegotiation, they are so much more reasonable and to work with because they know like this is a legit organization. Like they have their shit together. They're not weighing this. Mm-hmm. So important.
Yeah, it doesn't come out of left field. Like you present what needs to happen for them to make the change, and then you again put it back in their court where they have the opportunity to accomplish their goal. It just may mean their expectations get reset.
Yeah.
And that gives them agency and empowers them. And that's something we've gotten a lot better at that's helped the average deal size.
What's one tip you could give the audience about how to handle a price renegotiation? I know we've done an episode on this in the past. But what's one tip that really helps with price renegotiations? A basic tip, if you have to do it.
Yeah, if I were to, I'm actually going to give two. If it's a cash deal and you are able to spend money on getting an inspection, that really helps because it's an independent source. And so using that as a reference to go back and say, look, I know you didn't know, but we didn't know either. Like, let's have an honest conversation about this. By the way, this is where we're going to need to be. And then you have to treat it like it's a price renegotiation, which means you have to also set expectations. Hey, this is going to be really hard. Are you in a position to have a tough conversation? And if they're out to dinner with their family, reschedule it. Like get them in a position where they're able and ready and willing to do that. Again, if you have the inspection, send it to them ahead of time. Let them review it themselves. Give them the cliff notes of why it's important because they've never looked through it and they're going to get lost.
So what that would look like is like, hey, when are you in a position to have a conversation? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Schedule it for noon tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But then you're sending them the inspection report tonight. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, please review this ahead of time.
Yeah, with the big items that you want to address. Yeah. And then on the equity protection, on our innovation side, generally what would happen in this is like you've gone a period of time. They've seen it on the market. They know who's come in, how many people. And you're like, look, we've got XYZ offers. we've been trying to negotiate because of this thing, like because whatever it is in the market, whatever it is with your home, the only way we can get this done is to do X.
Yeah.
And then again, you're putting it back in their court, but you're giving them the justification to say, like, we can keep doing what we're doing. It's just unlikely to work.
So we have a property that we're going through this right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being in worse condition than we thought. And we made the decision, because we're not getting any offers, to lower our list price to exactly what our contract price is. Why? Because having an offer in hand empowers you to then go and have that renegotiation discussion with them of like, hey, this is the offer we got. Do you guys want to reduce price? And then we will still be able to make some kind of margin and salvage some kind of deal size. But without that offer in hand, having that conversation holds no power whatsoever, because they're like, well, just come to me when you have an offer. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean renegotiate the price lower? Like, why?
Yeah, because then the next question is like, okay, when can I close? You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the hard thing about novations, right? Which is not a guarantee. And that's where it goes so far, like it goes upstream into your sales process, setting the right expectations. Hey, our cash offer was too low. Here's another option that we have where you can probably get a higher price, but it's not a guarantee and we're not the buyer. Being very transparent about that. And here's what we help you do. Then your operations team in TC are actually sending your seller feedback from any agents or buyers that walk through once it's listed. So they can see, oh, they didn't like that. Oh, the house smells like that. All you're doing is positioning yourself for a potential renegotiation so that when and if it has to happen, which it actually doesn't happen very often, but it's not a surprise. It's like, hey, 4 people said your house stinks.
It smells like cat pee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that's a problem. You know, I know you didn't want to clean it or you weren't able to with your situation. That's totally fine. Our cash offer was too low, so we went this route. What do you want to do? And then there's just so much more because it's coming from a third party, right? It's the messenger.
And on that note, we've actually even had people after that feedback come back and be like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
And the reality of what going through a whole listing process is hits. And then they're like, that cash option sounds a lot better. Rare, but it does happen sometimes.
100%. Okay. How about appointments set? So we talked about appointments attended. We talked about cancellation rate. How about just scheduling more dang appointments, which is the single greatest lever to generating revenue? I'll say it again. You want to make more money, you schedule more appointments. Every month that we have that's slow, every week that we have that's slow, we're not scheduling enough appointments. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is an entire podcast episode by itself. Every company's going to have their own idea about what it takes to qualify for an appointment. And just to talk again about kind of what ours are. Do they want to sell in the next 12 minutes to 12 months? Is it already listed? If it is, we're not going to go on it unless it's a very special circumstance.
12 minutes. You can sell property in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on,
buy it now. I'll be out. Okay. I think I stole that one from Eric Brewer, actually, with the 12 minutes to 12 months. And,
I like that.
And the other piece is, which is a little more ambiguous, is an upsizing situation, which we define as, do they need all their equity for the next thing? And so if we can get all decision makers there that would influence it, we're going to go ahead and schedule it. And the reason we keep it pretty open is because we don't trust that what they tell us on the phone is actually the reason that they want to sell. Like, we're going there to build a relationship and come out. For example, yesterday I went to shadow an appointment. They reached out to us, same day appointment scheduled. Their first line on the phone is, I already reached out to your competitor. Okay, well, that's telling me, one, you're trying to do this.
Which is another way of saying, like, hey, I'm going to get with multiple offers and pick the highest one, right? Which if you hear that and you believe that, you can high anchor yourself in your mind. And then when you show up, you feel like you got to get into this bidding war.
Yeah. Line number 2, I'm looking for at least a couple $100,000 on it. Line number 3, yeah, I'm going to move into an RV. That's what I want to do. I'm about ready to get out of here. And we show up, and what we find in the first 10 minutes is that it's a couple that's been together that is separating.
Which they didn't say on the phone.
Which they didn't say on the phone. And she has a place to go to. He has no idea where he's going. He just kept saying he's going to go live in a van down by the river the entire time.
Down by the river.
And we ended up coming up with a way to work with them on our equity protection. However, that intro could have easily been construed as, oh, they want market value. I think the Zillow estimate was $205,000. So, oh, they want market value. they're going to just try to, bid me against everyone else. It's not worth my time. And it's just not the case at all.
So what happened when you showed up? You discover it's a divorce situation.
Yeah, and I have to say, Michael on our team did an incredible job of this, of working with two people who could be in the same room, could communicate, asking what their goals were, what their dreams were. I like actually verbalizing to them, oh, it sounds like you two really might have different goals and outcomes from this. Are you going to be okay if we close in 30 days? How are you going to do this? What is that going to look like for you? How much do you need? And going through all the process to try and have them verbalize what the separation is actually going to look like once they move out of the home. And so then once we got through all that, then it just came down to can we make the numbers work? And their original 200, we ended up signing them at 140. Yeah.
But this is where so many people, if you price qualify, and it's not even from a should I go on the appointment point of view, which if you're doing that, like you're missing tons of, you're missing millions of dollars in deals. If you're making a determination over the phone to meet with somebody or not based on their asking price, huge no-no. Go. Timeline. Are they going to sell the property? Yes or no? Go.
Yeah.
But then if you get over that and you go, but then you're using that to high anchor yourself in your mind. And you're like, well, gosh, they said, don't come out here unless you can do a penny. Don't even bother if it's a penny less than 200. And you go out there and all of a sudden you can't negotiate the way you want to negotiate. You can't set a low enough price anchor because you're like, oh man, they told me not to come out here.
They're going to kick me out.
They're going to kick me out. I'm afraid of that reaction.
And so the reason I said this could be an entire episode is that everybody's going to have different qualifying criteria. We would elect for let's get out and develop a relationship. And even if it's early, like some companies will say like you need to be ready, willing, and able to sell within 3 months.
So key.
And we've had a lot of success letting people know that we can be much more flexible than that and saying, look, we've done things on 7, 8, 9 month year closings. Would that be an advantage to you? And you'll get out there and then you'll find that what they're saying is, I don't have a place picked out yet. I'm afraid of what it could mean, and I don't want to end up homeless. And so as long as you give them enough time to where it's like reasonably they can get moved, they're going to end up probably wanting to work with you if you can solve the other problems. And then the reality is everybody moves faster. They're just afraid of what the outcome could be if they don't give themselves enough time.
Yeah, totally. They want the flexibility. It carries so much weight in their head. It is such, if you're not pitching that in your pitch, you're losing a lot of leverage.
Absolutely. Because think about what a cash offer means to people who've listed on the market. Cash usually is the perception that that person who has the money has the power. Oftentimes on market, cash offers mean get your ass out of the home. I want it in 3 weeks. I want it in 2 weeks. You're going to take my offer because it means no contingencies and I'm ready to go. And we actually have to flip that narrative on its head and say, no. We actually do the opposite. We can give you the certainty you want and the flexibility in the timeline. The thing we trade is price. And so for a lot of people that carries weight, and then people will surprise you every day. It'd be like, I need 5 months. I need 5 months. We had a lady out in New Plymouth. I can't move in less than 5 months. 3 weeks later, hey, I found a house. Can I get my money now?
So that's such a good point. What percentage of contracts that we sign do you think actually need a fast close or they want a fast close? And by fast, I mean like within 2
days.
weeks.
Oh, like 2 weeks?
Yeah. Like 2 to 3 weeks.
Not many. I would actually guess less than 10%.
10%. That's crazy. Yeah. No, and you're so right.
Yeah,
that's why I asked.
It's very few. I could probably go back on one hand and count every single one we had that was a 2-week close within the last quarter of our last 48. And it's probably 2 or 3.
But I see so many investors that are like, they are going out to give a cash offer. Great. But they assume that speed is good for everybody. And like speed is part of their value proposition, right? The thought of people packing up their entire life and moving out of a house with all their things in 2 to 3 weeks, you could absolutely be sabotaging yourself.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. And that could be the reason that they're not ready to sign the contract when you're with them. You have to be pitching like, hey, we close on your time frame, especially this is something we talk about this is really relevant right now as we head into fall. A lot of people that work with us request 6-month, 4-month, 7-month closes so that they can spend the holidays at home. and they don't have to worry about packing up their stuff or doing anything, or in the case of Innovation, or we don't even have to start marketing the property until next year. Would that help you? Or we could close in as fast as 5 days, right? And anything in between. That, like, you will visibly see people's stress levels go down when they're like, oh, okay, I got so much time. Like, I don't have to worry about this. That is what we talk about when we're saying people will trade equity for ease and convenience.
Yeah, people do it every day. People do it every day. It's the same reason like people overpay for a cup of coffee, because they don't have to brew it themselves, and there's like a little novelty to it.
100%. Depends on what kind of coffee it is. I know we got Folgers in our Airbnbs, and that's
the best part of waking up.
That's not going to cut it, is it? We're going to end with one that we really sucked at, which was our inbound lead to appointment attended ratio, meaning we measure how many inbound leads it takes to equal one appointment. And we measure that over time because that indicates how we're doing on those calls when people contact us, right? And remember, inbound lead is when people are reaching out to us. So it's pay-per-click, it's TV, it's direct mail, it's pay-per-lead. So how are we doing on those sales calls? And also, like, is the marketing channel itself performing? Is pay-per-click delivering me MLS listed properties of people that have no timeline and motivation, or are they people that have some kind of motivation to sell? Are the direct mail people that calls that we're getting, are they all like, take me off your list right now, I hate you, or I sold the property 3 weeks ago, which has happened to us, and some data issues we're solving, right? So there's two sides of that coin. Where did we end up?
Yeah, we ended up Q3 at 27% of our total inbound leads, people who came in the top end of the funnel, not listed, not saying, take me off your list, we ended up meeting with. That came down from 36%. Almost a 10% drop from the prior quarter. That had a direct correlation to the number of contracts we signed.
In a negative way.
In a negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, geez, I mean, that's a 9% different. So we're talking 9% of all our inbound leads. Right now, it's about 1 out of every 3 inbound leads is an appointment. On average, it's actually like 2.5, but let's just call it 3. So extrapolate that out. Do some math here. So 3 appointments per lead. If we're losing 9% of those, how many contracts does that equal?
Yeah, because we're signing roughly like 1 out of 12, 1 out of 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for the number of total leads we got in, we definitely missed out on 4 to 5 contracts this last month, just because we didn't get in front of enough people.
This last month or quarter?
Last quarter.
Yeah. Okay. At least.
Quarter. Yeah, because I think we had, let's check, we had 472 total inbound leads in Q3.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to spend money to make money, right? And I should have this caveat. Right now, we're only spending to achieve these numbers, we're only spending $35K a month in marketing, which is pretty unbelievable when you consider most companies to achieve this kind of contract volume are spending at least 70 to 80, if not 6 figures every month. So I think that says everything about our trajectory and upside as we start spending more and ramping that up. How many contracts could we have?
And
crazy amount. Crazy amount.
Yeah, we're nowhere close to a ceiling at this point, which that is its own mindset shift.
Dude, if you told me that we could do this in Boise and the state of Idaho and not have to go out to another market, or even that a $43,000 average deal size was possible in little old Boise, Idaho, where the median price point is like $550 to $600 right now. I mean, that's nuts. That's nuts. That's higher than I would have ever anticipated or assumed.
Yeah, I think there was a period of time where like there can only be 100, right, off-market deals like in a year, like in the entire valley, like in the entire state, right? Wrong. So wrong.
And here's the thing that has me most excited. We've been in a real estate recession, Cory. The market has been bad. The market has been declining.
Yeah, are you saying that other people are struggling right now?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, how often do we get leads of people that bought in the last 2 or 3 years? They have no equity or they're underwater because they're next to new builds.
Yeah, that's a real thing right
That's
now.
happening a lot. There's a lot of people in pain. And I say a lot, like it's all relative, right? So no, we're still lower than pre-COVID foreclosure levels, but you can see it in how many conversations we're having with those people that it is increasing. And it's not everywhere, right? It's specifically a lot more in Canyon County, Cuna, places with new build developments where they're building these properties from, let's call it 400 to 600K, like those starter home price points.
Yeah, we were with a client yesterday who reached out to us with a TV lead, and his comment because we were just like, right now you could buy a new build down the street because they're still finishing your subdivision for less than what you're asking. And he's like, I know, right? It's like, so what are you gonna do? Well, but they didn't put in their backyard and they didn't do this, and then it's the expectation resetting. But people know, and people recognize that because they're offering these big seller credits to buy rates down, when rates have come down a little bit, it is more attractive, a lot more attractive to buy a brand new home and be the first person to screw it up.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts about meeting with homeowners so frequently is having to play dream crusher. Like having to deliver bad news to people it sucks. It sucks, but somebody has to do it because a lot of times people have to hit rock bottom to be able to improve their situation, right? So like it does feel painful in the moment, but a lot of times it is the conversation that nobody else is willing to have to help people. Even though we don't make a dime on it, we got to go in there and we got to say, here's your situation. You're not going to like it. Here are your options. You can hold out. You can keep trying to make the payments. You can get foreclosed on, or you can do a short sale. And here's the downside and upside to each.
Yeah, can we talk on that last one really quick?
Yeah.
It's actually something that we didn't even have in our repertoire 6-7 months ago.
What is a short sale?
Yeah, so effectively it's the legal process by which a homeowner can get the loan discharged out of their name and the bank is willing to accept less than what it's owed to them. It is a process. Generally, you have to be behind on payments, or you have to have already tried to market the property. You can justify to the bank that you can't get what is owed out of the market for it. And so from a bank's perspective, you have the opportunity to, one, cut your losses now, take what you can out of it, okay, or you can put them through foreclosure, which means you're going to stop getting money, you're going to then have to hire a lawyer, and it can sit on your books, and the chances are if it sells at auction, it could sell for less than what you could try to get it for on the market now. So they have to make this calculation of what am I willing to accept. And what we had noticed in the last year is that 2021 through 2022, everything had a great interest rate. So we could subject to a lot of properties and make them kind of close to cash flow. Sometimes we could resell those. We're having a lot of people reach out to us now that have 6, 7, 8% interest rates. And to use that as a rental, you're losing $1,000 to $1,500 a month, even if you're trying to self-manage.
That's if your tenant takes perfect care of the property
and pays on time.
And pays on time, and you don't have a bunch of repairs.
Yes, and so those are really sticky situations, because for the people who may need to move, job, divorce, whatever else is going on, health-related things, they don't really have an out. They are stuck, and so we've been working with some partners, mostly who are agents or have like specific specialties in this, to say, well, we do have another option for you. It is going to be painful. You are going to have to do paperwork, but it's another way we can provide value instead of just saying goodbye and good luck.
Yeah, totally. I think too, like how bringing this back to inbound leads and how we get better here, we had a pretty eye-opening conversation with our team yesterday in our quarterly meeting when we were going over a lot of this stuff. Because the reality is we're spending a little bit more in marketing than we have in the past. So yes, there is a slightly more volume of total leads to get in contact with, right? But the situation yesterday about why has this gone down 9%? Well, yesterday or 2 days ago when we were in our quarterly meeting, I think we had 1 or 2 missed calls from inbound leads, right? Because everybody was in the quarterly and being present there. We went the entire day. Our quarterly lasted like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we had, 7 hours, 6 hours left in the day. Those leads did not get called on once the rest of the day. So we got back in the next day and we were like, guys, what happened? They get text notifications, they get Slack notifications. So talk through that process, Cory, of like, how do we evaluate what is a problem like that? Because you have to assume it's a process problem first. They might just not be seeing it. They might not be getting notified, right?
Yeah, so we go through this like internally, like what are we doing before we ask the team and say like, okay, well, are they getting notifications? Do they know where it's at?
Do they have their notifications turned on?
Yeah, sometimes that's the issue.
No, I'm serious. It's something so stupid a lot of times. Yeah.
It can be as simple as that. Do they have their notifications turned on? Are they getting it in multiple channels? Are they getting, right now we use Slack, we use text messages. Are they getting emails about it? How are they getting informed? And then afterwards, then it's like, okay, well, then where else can they go find it? Like maybe they're not available at that moment. They're driving somewhere, going to an appointment. Okay, do they have access and knowledge of where to find the list of all the ones that have come in recently? And then if we do all that, we say yes, yes, and yes.
Which was their answer.
Then we have to ask, okay, well, what else? And usually the surface level answers, oh, I was busy, I was doing something else. And then finally they were, and I have to say this is a testament to the culture, they were willing to say, well, we kind of assumed that somebody else had taken care of it. And then the next person said that, and the next person said that. And what came out of that is that we have actually created, because a year ago we may have had one or two people who had access to these.
Right.
And so they had some sense that if I didn't do it, no one was going to do it.
Yeah.
And now we've created more competition. And when everyone is at their laptop, it is a mad race of people calling and trying to get to them. And that has created a bit of fatigue to where they assume that if they're not on their computer and calling on it immediately, that they just won't get it. And that has become somehow subconscious for everyone on the team that we have to reset or change up a process, because that's not sustainable. And that a month or 2 months later is actually what has been happening and why we have not had the same level of urgency with these.
Right. Because if we didn't, the danger there is, what percentage of inbound leads do we even get in contact with right away?
Like on the very first call?
Yeah.
Oh, it maybe 50, 60%.
Yeah. So that means half or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the thought process of everybody on the team is like, oh, that's already been called a bunch of times, or, oh, that's already been called and they set an appointment, then those get no calls and texts like within 8 hours of it coming in. It just goes into the ether and people completely forget about it and wait for the next one to come in. And it's like, wait, there's a lot of perfectly good leads right there that will make them a lot of money. And I think that's the point too, is it's like, yes, we have a target we're trying to hit. We're trying to understand why we're not there. Although my blood was boiling during that, it wasn't personal. It was just a frustration of like, how do I get through to these kids? Like, so it's like bringing it back to, guys, this is how you make more money. Every time that you're saying somebody else has got it, what you're saying to yourself is like, nah, I don't need to make more money.
It's not that important. That's not the lead that's going to change it for me.
Right. But like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that extra money. See, when you say that, when you say I don't need the money, it's a little different, right? So you have to like find what that actual frame is that helps correct the behavior. So anything else to finish on that? Actually, how are we correcting the behavior? What do we do?
Well, first acknowledge it, get it out in the air, talk through it. And then the other piece is highlight instances where like somebody has been the second, third, fifth person that calls, that schedules an appointment, which we did yesterday.
Praise.
Yeah.
Praise of when we're doing it correctly.
Yeah. Highlight those. And then we're talking about how we change our system in the future. Some of the other companies that have a bigger marketing budget will do it where the first person to get in contact actually just takes the lead and owns the rest of that.
But not that calls, the first person that has a conversation.
A two-way conversation. Yeah, establishes a connection. And right now we have it set up where until you've converted that lead to an opportunity, until you've actually scheduled the appointment, it's fair game. Because there's something you missed generally. So we're talking about how we modify that, just that way we create more accountability and ownership.
Yeah. And what I love about it most, Cory, is we had that conversation with the team. We missed a call the next day in the quarterly because we split up our quarterly into multiple days. And then literally right after the quarterly ends, one of our lead managers called somebody back, an inbound lead that we missed, scheduled a same day appointment, and we got a property under contract just like that. We literally took exactly what we were talking about and upset about, put it into practice, and then got a contract. Then that day. Doesn't that feel fucking awesome?
It's really cool.
That feels fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Anything else on forward looking into Q4?
As we were talking through like our metrics and things that we're trying to get better at, we made a couple of points, which is one, people, right? We have some pretty aggressive hiring targets are going to be the catalyst for 2026. So it's the time of year for people to think about job transition. So we're definitely putting a lot of effort there. We created a new one that we're trying to go after, which is we created a appointment set scoring. So basically 15 check marks. Did I get all the information required to schedule it? Did I make sure everybody is there? Did I confirm times? Did I try to get within 48 hours? And then did I follow up afterwards and do my confirmation? So we have that 15-point checklist with a target of getting that at a 95% clip on every single one. I'm going to tell you we're not there yet, 8 days in.
Yeah, you actually use ChatGPT to score that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It needs a little work, but
okay. Yeah, we're tinkering with it.
Yeah, but something like that, and then the other piece is like for us, how do we run into this quarter hard? We actually reset our contract target above what we accomplished in Q3, and the way that we frame that for the team is like, okay, are you better than you were 90 days ago? Are you more skilled, or are you worse? Do we have worse people, worse processes, worse leads? And are we going into a harder time of year for off-market real estate? And all of that is no. Like, we're better at doing all those things.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of really positive feedback from the team that they felt hopefully empowered. Now, we'll see how long that lasts.
Well, I think that's the danger, right? As we saw it, we're setting a record quarter with revenue. But again, what we started this podcast saying, revenue lags. So what happened in September and August is we ended up at like 60% of our contract target both months. I think in September we signed 11?
Correct.
August we signed 10 or 11?
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit better. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, coming from July where we signed 21, that's a massive fall off. Why? Well, some of it is things that are outside of our control, but a lot of it is people were fat and happy getting bigger paychecks than they had been previously. So the level of urgency went down. We didn't have enough competition within the team of people that were hungry. And so you get this pullback, this lapse. So now heading into Q4, it's like, oh shit, we really got to pick things up. So that's the roller coaster you go through with like the human side of this, where you always have to be hiring and adding new talent and new people to the team. So there's always this sense of competition. You always have the people that are fat and happy because they got a bunch of paychecks and they're thinking about here and now. But you also have the people that are working really hard because they don't have those yet. And then they rotate, right? Constantly over time. So there's an evolution to this.
Yeah. And we're still working on it.
Every day. That does it for our Q3 review today. Thanks so much, Cory. It was great to do one of these again.
It's been great.
We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.